Okay, I'm going to show you how I stitch my string blocks together. They're fun and they're easy, and I only make one seam through the paper, so I only have one seam to tear away when I'm finished. So what I do is I take a string and I'm going to gauge it the length that I need to the edges of this paper. When I match it right sides together to the piece that it's going next to, I just lay this on top. And a lot of times what I do is I'll go ahead and take a scissor and cut it to length right there. It's just easier because then I don't have to wonder how far I need to sew to cover the paper. So I take it like this, I hold these together, I fold the paper back, put it on my sewing machine, just holding it in place where it was, and stitch approximately a 1/4 inch seam. None of this has to be, it's not going to matter one way or another, but I'm used to doing 1/4 inch. Okay, so that's going to be in place right there. I'm not sure if I have this positioned good or not, but we'll see how this goes. I want you to see everything. Okay, now I'm going to take another paper, one of my papers that I just cut, and choose a piece of fabric that's going to go the length from corner to corner. So this will be the longest piece that I'm going to be using. Let's start with a nice green one. So I'm going to take this and I will cut it so that it's longer than my paper. And for this is the only seam that goes through the paper and also goes through 2 pieces of fabric. So I need to find another piece of fabric to go next to this one. So here's one that'll go well with that. So I want it to be as long as from right here to right here on the paper. I need to cut it that length or longer. It can be. And I'm going to put these 2 right sides together, and I'm going to stitch right along on this side 1/4 inch through the paper and through the fabric, through both layers of fabric. Okay, now I'm going to cut off. I just chained 2 together, so I'm going to cut off the other one that was behind it. And I'm going to lay this out, kind of finger press this one that I just stitched on. Now I just have a corner this big to cover. So let's see, I've been using blue. I think I'm going to stick with blue on this one because I kind of like that. And I can either choose a piece that will cover this whole corner, or I could make 2 strips, but really for the inside it's nice when it, so if I put this on the corner and I see that it's going to come a 1/4 inch over the edge of this other piece. So that's just what I need to cover that corner. So let's just do, I'm going to cut this off, measure, see how long it needs to be, and cut that off. And put this on the edge. As long as the corners of my paper are covered, it's going to be long enough. Fold the paper out behind it. I don't want to sew through the paper now. I'm just sewing through the fabric. Okay, so now I'm going to reach behind and I'm going to grab the one that I started before. And let's see, maybe we can get taller on here. So now this one I have 2 pieces of fabric on this paper. I'm going to open it up, finger press. Sometimes I just like to use my fingernails and press along the edge. You don't need to get your ironing board out. Okay, so now I need a piece, one to go beside this, and it's got to be about this big. So I will choose, I'm going to take, there's a pretty purple one, but that one's pretty wide. I don't think I want one that wide for where we're going here. Let's see here. There's a bright one. So we'll try this one. So we're just going to hold it on the edge where it covers both edges of the paper. And I'm going to cut. And I'm going to turn this over. You want the right sides. This is batik, so it's kind of the same on both sides. But hold it on the edge. Pinch your fabric together. Hold the paper back. Put it in your sewing machine. Okay, reach behind, grab the other one. Now, how much do we have done on this one? This one is done. This one is completely covered. So this is what it looks like. It's going to be really pretty when I cut this apart. This one is, I like it. You just got yellows on one side and blues on the other. Sometimes they're all mixed up, but I kind of like that one. So I'm going to put that in a pile. I'm going to take another plain piece of paper and pick a string that is going to be long enough. That's a pretty blue one to start. This is a wide one, but that's okay. You can go wide or narrow for the first one. Okay, right side up when you start this, and then the next one is going to go right side down, that goes on top of it. Okay, so here's one. We're just going to go from this corner of the paper to this corner of the paper. I cut on both sides. I don't have a real system here. Okay, so this is going to be right side down. And I'm stitching through the paper and through both of these that are right sides together. This is my only seam that goes through the paper. Okay, grab the one in back. Okay, so now we have green and variegated and purple, and lay this one, okay, these right sides together for the fabric. Flip the paper back, hold it in place with your fingers so it doesn't move, and just stitch it. Okay, grab the one behind it, cut it apart, and finger press towards the corner. Okay, let's take now I start out with so many colors, and then let's see, let's try this one right here, nice green one. So now that could go on either side, but we'll just put this here, right sides together, and this fabric does have a right side. Okay, and that's just the right length. I don't need to cut it. Fold the paper back, hold your fabric together, put it in the sewing machine. Okay, I'll just finish up a couple of these before I quit. This kind of gets repetitious here, but it's fun. Once you just start doing it, that's just what you're doing. You just put on a video or a YouTube tutorial of something. And okay, here's a really bright yellow one that will be pretty. Let's see, sides together, fold the paper out of the way, put it on the machine. Okay, grab the other block. And finger press. Sometimes I have little squares that work really well for these corners. Here's one. This would work just fine. Just a little square. So as long as it covers from the edge of this paper on both sides, I can pinch this together, fold the paper out of the way, and stitch it. Okay, take this next one. Starts looking like just a wrinkled mess here for a while, but it really is gonna look perfect when it's done. Let's see, we just need a small piece in here. Okay, so let's try this nice light one will work, and that'll be wide enough to easily cover that whole point. So I will cut a piece of that off. Put it on next to the yellow, right sides together. Fold the paper back. Grab the other one from behind. Fold it. You want, when you lay it down, you want to fold it so that the paper is folded out flat. And this little corner that we put on is going to get finger pressed right there. We can turn this around. We'll use this wide one here. That's pretty wide. And sometimes if I don't want it to be that wide, I can just take a real deep seam. So I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to put these right sides together. And on this one, I'm going to take a lot more than a 1/4 inch seam. I might take a good 1/2 inch. Okay, I have this one. Okay, we've got enough for one more wide one or 2 skinny ones. Kind of like to do wide on the corners when I can. Oh, that's a skinny one. Let's see. What have we got? Here's one. There's a wide one that I can put a piece on. So we'll just lay it from corner to corner on this paper, and I know that that's going to be wide enough. So stitch 1/4 inch. Okay, so now we have 2 of them. I actually need 4 to do a block because I'm sewing them together as a 4 patch. So we'll go over and we'll stitch, and we will press and cut these and show you what they look like when they're done. Now we finished those last 2 blocks, so we are going to cut them. Actually, we have 3 of them. Okay. Well, we'll work on a couple of them. And first thing we'll do is just press them. Just press them flat. I do use steam in my iron. Some people don't, but I do like to use steam. For this, it doesn't matter. I press so that the seam allowances go away from the center. Okay, actually we'll do the other one here. They just kind of look like a mess of different colors right now until we get them trimmed up. Okay, so there's 3 blocks ready to be cut. So I'm going to put this on top of it. Take any straight edge that you have. This happens to be a triangle one I have here. This is just a companion angle ruler, but this will work just fine. So actually these triangle ones are kind of nice to use for a straight edge. And just cut right on the edge of your paper. Line it up with the edge of your paper backing. Okay. Okay, so the edges are all cut. And now this is the pretty block we end up with here. So what we do is sometimes it's easiest to tear it if you crease it a little bit. And then you can just tear this off. Just one seam to tear off. There's one. And then, let's see, we had a couple others here. Here they are. Okay, so this one's all pressed and ready to cut. Just line it up on the edge. Okay, and same thing, I'm going to go ahead and fold this here. Okay, now we have 2 blocks. And there's one more. Here's the one that had the blue and the yellow. I ended up with so much scrap fabric because I have an aunt who's an avid quilter, and she's starting to thin out some of her stash, and so she actually was sending me packages in the mail last year with all kinds of scraps of her really nice quilt fabric. So that's why I felt like I need to use them for something nice, because they really are good quality fabric. She's got a lot of batiks and a lot of quilt shop fabric that when it's all put together for a scrappy quilt, you end up with a high quality scrappy quilt. Okay, so what I have here now is the four different blocks that we can put together into a 4-patch. It's going to make a really pretty block with these. There's that, and this one, that'd be pretty. This is the one that had the red and pink on it that we started earlier. It ended up kind of a pretty one, but it doesn't go very well with this color scheme. So let's see. Yep, that looks nice. Sometimes you can kind of look at the dark stripes and see how they go together to form a square. I might like this one better just for the, just to see. We'll turn that. I think I like it with the yellows on the inside. Okay, so now we do the same thing we did in another video to sew these together. We're going to sew this, we're going to turn this right sides together. Same with this block, right sides together, because we want to sew all 4 of these patches together. And so we're going to be stitching a line down here and down here. And until I'm ready to do that, I'm going to just lay the bottom on top of the top block and put a pin in it. And that way it will be waiting for me when I get to my sewing machine. And if I get a few more of these, I'll just have a stack of them that I can stitch together. All right. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you're starting your project. I'd like to see it. Bye-bye.